If you start on the layers panel and just create a shape, filling this eye with this blue, option delete. So to give you a color to work up against, and then just taking the text tool and clicking on this part. See if this will work for you. Select all that. Give yourself this pinkish color here. And that'll get you the side of it. So just creating that initial shape. Now, if a font for some reason or other does not have the selection for it for italicized text, you can always create that text and skew it yourself, but we'll just keep it for starters right there. And you're just taking a look as you go through. You have the type and trying to make a selection out of that. So command clicking will give you this information right there, and the select modify for expanding is the next step. Now they put a couple numbers in there, but you're at a different resolution, so you might have to increase each of these as you go. So 20 is that distance, and if you go to select, modify again and expand on this, and click it so it has that distance that goes across. So as you cascade this down, I'm just going to eliminate all these direction pieces here and go right to there. So the text will be something that you can choose your own, and then it'll get to this this selection right here. Okay, so that's the piece that has the selection moving there. Create a new layer above this and name this into the bead. So I'm just going to turn this above it. Double click. Click on beads right there. And then take a look. So here's the Paths palette. If you don't have the Paths palette open, just go under Window and click on it right there, and it shows up right over here in this space right beneath it. And up in the top menu, just make a working path out of this, and what it does is it's going to change and make this into a path, and it'll tell you how many pixels and points will be on there. They put it 0.5. You can place it in there, but that's the smallest amount allowable. And double click on it to give it a generic title, or you can title it yourself. And that'll give you that selection. And then coming into the brushes palette. So when you click on the brushes, the option that you have, this window pops open, and it has you change the brush from the soft to the hard brush. The spacing, you're trying to get them so they're right next to one another. And when you click and drag, you can see what that looks like, and that's pretty good right there, so I'll keep that one. And this is what it has. So it has this selection telling you about the brush. So then it says click on the stroke button, and that's going to follow the path. So you have a new layer up at the top that you want highlighted. On the path you have fill in the stroke, and this is the one that you want to click on to have the stroke. So this is the one that's going to connect with the brush. So that's going to be the piece that's going to be on this layer. So let's see if I can drag this up to the top. So you can see it has that selection. So this is everything that's on there. And I can mark you this and take that off if I need to. Okay. So deselecting the path. The only thing you have to be careful of is that you don't deselect your path. Okay. So here's the path. Here's the color. B for the brush. Make sure that the opacity is set to 100%. And this is the part that you have. So when you click on it, it's going to make these lines. Down here, click beneath this to turn off that path. This is what you have. So the last step is just trying to illustrate the pieces with the layer style. So when you take a look, you can double click on the layer style, and here's where you're going in with the beveling and embossing part of this section. So this is trying to give it that section. You can see the arch for it here, the screen to it, the size of it can build up with that selection. So it gives you that look to it. You can change it, of course, make it look better. And this is the inner shadow. So they're doing a couple things to make the lighting in there. So once you get the effects on there, double click on this. Here's the inner shadow to it to lighten it off. And you can see some of the two pieces on these two sections. Okay. And then the last part, they may have to make the text larger. So when you see that piece right here at this point, making it a little bit bigger, increase the size of the text. So you can do two things to it. Here's the type. You can also make another selection on this one and select modify and do the same thing, just putting it behind it to expand this piece. So I'm just going to make a layer above it. Option delete it. So now you have that section kind of hidden beneath it. And inside this one, you can also change the depth of it. And I'll emboss on this one. So you can see that you have all these different options to build up with that selection. Okay, so see if you can take yourself to that section on there. You should be good